Hello, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk Football. My name is John Halpin, alongside Chris Palmer, and alongside our special guest, Ellis Williams. How you doing, my friend?
Going on, Ellis?
Chilling
Thank
like a
you.
villain, dude. Chilling like a villain. Glad to be on.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. There's so much football to talk about, and we're so glad you're here to talk with us. Now, before we begin, would you be able to tell our audience who's your team, man? Who's your team?
The bad news bears. Forever and
Oh
forever.
man, are we in for an episode tonight?
That's Chris Palmer's second team, man. He has a soft spot for the Bears.
I do have a soft spot for the Bears. I always have.
It's too good.
Oh man. We're gonna talk plenty of Bears this week. They have a very interesting matchup. But first, let's get into our Week 9 recap, starting with last Thursday, Halloween night. The Texans coming to the MetLife to play the Jets, and the Jets actually winning a game, with what was probably the upset of the year. 21-13 Jets. Rodgers just had a really good second half. The first half was very ugly, but I mean, give credit to the Jets, man. They actually won a game against good competition.
Well, yeah, you can't escape the fact that they need to win these games if they're going to have any type of chance towards a playoff run. I don't believe in it. I think this is more or less like a broken clock is right twice a day type of thing. So don't think too much on this. I don't think Houston's going to fall at all.
What are your guys' takes on Aaron Rodgers being on the Jets? I want to hear about it because being a Bears fan, we always date back to Aaron Rodgers being on the Packers.
I know. It's
So, what's the take on you guys as born and bred New Yorkers with Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I
I
wasn't
want to
born in
know.
New York. I was born in Cali, but I'll give it to CP first.
Um, Well, him and I have spoken about this to nauseum. I thought going into this that this was like a choke play for Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. The last couple of years in Green Bay, bleeding into what's going on in the Jets, is just the Aaron Rodgers show. What he says goes, and if it doesn't go his way, someone's getting fired or he's leaving.
Mhm.
And this is just telltale. The Jets were desperate. They went for a shell of a Hall of Fame athlete, and he brought his baggage with him, and the same problems followed him. And he expected Robert Saleh to fix what Matt LaFleur couldn't, and Robert Saleh wound up getting fired for it.
Mm.
Yeah, I personally I didn't think that this experiment was going to work in New York. The Jets were really banking on that, like the team that they had was good enough to win a championship. All they were was a quarterback away. But the truth of the matter is, they were not a quarterback away. They were a lot of positions needed in order to be a contending team. And quarterback is, they really sold their soul for a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers coming off an injury. So, in all reality, like, yes, he is talented and he is slated for the Hall of Fame, but this is kind of like Michael Jordan in the Wizard years. Everyone will
Right.
forget about them, and it's just completely irrelevant. And I know you're from Chicago, so I know you're a big Jordan fan. You got to be a Jordan fan, right?
Yeah, you have to be. You gotta be. That's fine.
Oh man, so good on the Jets. They're keeping their season alive week by week. But let's move to Sunday's slate of games, starting with one of the games that Palma, you and I talked about last week, the Saints and the Panthers, and the Panthers coming away with the win 23-22. I think the bigger story was the Saints firing Dennis Allen that Monday. Man, it's crazy too because we talked Saints in 2 weeks in a row, and now a lot of change is happening in New Orleans.
Yeah. Unfortunate loss for the Saints. But another huge. I think this story is going kind of under the table because of the firing of Dennis Allen. Is Chris Olave is out with another concussion.
Mm.
He's now topped Tua for concussions. He's had 5 concussions in his career so far. So you want to talk about a player that the NFL is starting to wrong? I think it's time to look at the Chris Olave story because he is taking some really unnecessary hits.
Yeah. Oh man. Uh, I was gonna say, Ellis, are you familiar with the Saints and Panthers and their struggles this year so far?
This year, I'm not too I want to say I'm too knowledgeable of it. I just know the Saints as Drew Brees' team.
Hmm.
I used to be a big Saints fan when he was on there. Definitely fell off ever since then. But no. Tell me a little about it, dude. I want to know.
They're they're one of those teams where it's like they've had the same owner and GM for a long period of time, and they value loyalty, but they haven't been able to move off and start the rebuilding process of the team. So now, with the firing of their head coach, and they also traded away Marshawn Lattimore to where was it? I forget what team.
Stand by, I'll look it up.
Yeah, I think it's to Washington actually, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
So now the Saints are kind of embracing that. It's like, okay, look, we're trying to move on from the Drew Brees era. We're trying to get money for to start this rebuild, and we're trying to get young players. So it's going to be a little painful for them the rest of the season, but I would expect them to make a lot of significant moves in the offseason.
Yes, as of yesterday, Marshawn Lattimore is now a Washington Commander.
That is true. Yep, that's good stuff. Which leads us right into the Commanders from last week. They came to the MetLife to play the Giants, and the Commanders won 27-22. But this was kind of a fight by New York. But at the end of the day, Washington did what they had to do to win. Ellis, let me ask you. I know a couple weeks ago when Washington played against the Bears in that heartbreaker, right? Do you wish that the Bears drafted Jaden Daniels over your current quarterback, Caleb Williams?
100%.
Yeah.
I would have to say yes because under pressure, I feel like what's his name? Jaden?
Jaden, yeah.
Jaden
Jaden
Daniels.
performs a lot better under pressure than Caleb Williams. And I mean 2 weeks ago was very well proven
Yeah.
when he did one lucky Hail Mary throw. But
Mhm.
even after the fact, like when he was talking to the reporters, he was very chill. He wasn't all stoked about it. He was ready for the next game.
Mhm.
You know, and that's something I like to see. He's definitely a really good quarterback, and kind of wish he was on the Bears and not what do they call the defenders? No, that's not
Commanders.
The Commanders. Yeah,
Commanders, yeah.
we need to get the names back here.
Do you feel your offense would find more success with Jaden Daniels, even though we will get into the drawer that is the Chicago Bears? But do you feel that Jaden Daniels would give you guys like a visually different form of success on field?
I wouldn't. I feel like that's tough. Tough to kind of say. I wouldn't say so. I feel like Caleb Williams has a good dynamic with the Bears. Although I think like a lot of the offensive players don't like his decision making,
Mhm.
or like at times, maybe a majority of the time. But I think Caleb Williams he's learning. He's still got his training wheels on.
Well, of course, there's a learning curve for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
Well said, gentlemen. I like it. Let's move on to Buffalo, where the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills met in a divisional round matchup. CP, this was another one we spoke last week. Dolphins season on the line, and it was a tale of two halves. The first half was a very defensive half, but the offense for both teams really clicked in the second half. But ultimately, Buffalo came out victorious, 30-27. CP, what were your thoughts on this one?
This is again Josh Allen's playing his cleanest football this year. The Bills are a very clean football team right now, but Miami with Tua on the field, there is that little breath of life where it's they can go 10 rounds with heavy hitting teams, but it's how much can you trust Tua to be on the field for the rest of the year? Starting to get cold, the ground's going to get harder, the hits are going to hurt more. Now the attrition part of this league is going to start taking to effect, and it's going to start taking to effect to the injured a lot quicker.
Absolutely. Ellis, let me ask you: are you familiar with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills?
I'll tell you what. I know Josh Allen's been in the league for some time, so he should probably retire soon.
think it's what, year 5 or 6?
It's year 6 actually.
Year
Yeah.
6.
He's getting ready to hang it up, I tell you.
He's got,
Well,
he's got like 10 years left.
No way. Now with the kids coming out these days, the kids coming out of high school, coming out of college, absolutely freaking hammering it down. You get like high schoolers already having beards. You know, the testosterone levels are definitely a lot higher than Josh Allen's. Yeah, I know a little bit about him. He's a pretty good quarterback. That's all I can say. Although he has had some amazing interceptions.
He has had some amazing years with a lot of interceptions. I will agree to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Last couple of years, he had the most interceptions in the league.
Exactly.
But that's not this year.
No.
This
No,
year, he has some of the fewest.
Yeah. Yeah, this year he's doing pretty good as a quarterback.
Yeah,
And I don't know. How would you rate his game against Miami? Pretty good?
I would say so.
I would say he still had a really clean game, yeah.
Yeah, because he made the decisive plays that really changed the tide of the game, and he's also trusting now. He's trusting his younger receivers, and I think that for a quarterback of his caliber to really open the field up more and not holding a crutch to his former wide receiver Stephon Diggs, and really open up the field more, it allows you to do more on offense. And I think that that's what we're seeing right now in Buffalo.
Yeah, we're absolutely seeing a totally freed Josh Allen. As good as Stephon Diggs was, it was almost like a restraint because, you know, when you have a receiver that's of that caliber, he's going to, I wouldn't say demand, but his presence commands the ball to go to him a good percentage of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But when that becomes a focal point, it becomes a hindrance to your offense.
Mm-hmm.
So without him, like you said, him being able to open up the field, it's the wild card of where's Josh Allen throwing because he can read through progressions as good as anybody.
Oh yeah, and he's just one of the elite quarterbacks in the league, and
it's hard to deny it this year.
Yeah, especially this year. Oh man. Let's move on to the city of Cleveland, where the Los Angeles Chargers came into the Cleveland Browns Stadium and just whooped ass. It was 27-10. It was all Chargers all day. Jameis Winston, coming off a great win against the Ravens, fell to Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. It was not the game that the Browns were expecting, and but hey, Browns are gonna Brown, man. It's tough being a Bears fan, Ellis, but at least you're not a Browns fan.
Oh, never will be.
I would hope not, because then you would really be on rock bottom of the league.
It's a terrible. Yeah, actually, he's the worst quarterback.
Right, you'd be at rock bottom.
Oh no, I'm trying to see where the Bears quarterback is. Oh, we're almost there. We're number 27.
I was going to say he's probably about 27, 28, right?
Just about.
He's not far from Daniel Jones and Bailey Zappi. I know that.
Bailey Zappi.
I'll take Jaden Daniels right now. Let's trade him.
Believe it or not, I think Bailey Zappi is actually ranked above Caleb Williams, if I'm not mistaken.
That's sad.
You're 100% right.
Oh man, I can't wait to get into this, man. But let's. I was say let's keep going. Let's keep going. We still got some games to recap, and there's a lot to unpack with the Bears. But they'll be playing the New England Patriots this coming week, and the Patriots are just coming off a loss against the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee, where Tony Pollard had one of his best days as a running back, an absolute behemoth. And Titans win 20-17, a ground and pound style game. But man, it's for New England Patriots. If they beat your Bears, man, that's going to be a tough loss for Chicago.
Listen, these
Stop watching football if that happens.
Oh Lord. This was a two teams that are head deep in rebuild situations. The Titans got rid of their last piece that they needed to with DeAndre Hopkins. So now they have all journeymen, and now it's stay healthy to the draft. Patriots, they have a quarterback that they know can't succeed with Drake May, so they're running with Jacoby Brissett. They're smart enough to realize that their rookie isn't ready, but Jacoby Brissett ain't it.
No. Absolutely not. But we'll keep an eye on that, and again, we're going to be talking about that game going forward. Let's move to Atlanta, where the Dallas Cowboys came into Atlanta, and it was all Atlanta all day. Final was 27-21. Bigger story, though, Dak Prescott injured with a hamstring injury. He's expected to be out for a couple of weeks. I know CD also got hurt. I don't know his status on his injury just yet, but man, this was an ugly, ugly game for the Cowboys. CP, I know that brings a smile to your face.
It's not even that it brings a smile to my face. It's just like it's another ripping of the Band-Aid that there is a huge problem in Dallas, and his name is Jerry Jones, because he just refuses. Every time you see a bad Cowboys loss, it's just you think back to all the decisions that he decided not to make in the offseason that could have made them substantially better. The biggest one will always and forever be not even calling Derrick Henry. And then you're not going to reach out before the trade deadline, make any moves. They've made no moves. So it's now the Cowboys are totally exposed. Their defense is pedestrian at best. And they're just sinking. And Jerry Jones is allowing it.
Yeah.
So I got a quick question. Wasn't Prescott or Prescott?
Dak Prescott, yeah.
You guys call it Prescott?
Yeah. Well, that's
all right.
I think that's pronounced.
If
Prescott.
you look at it, it looks like it's supposed to be pre.
Okay.
Wasn't he hurt last year?
Last year.
Or was it 2 years ago?
I think it was 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
The major injury when he
that was like 2021, if I'm not mistaken, where he was
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, like the major injury that he had when he got carted off the field. Pretty sure that was like 2021.
Mm-hmm.
That was when he came out with the mental health issues that he was having while he was in recovery, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Mm-hmm.
And he started respect to him, he started like an outreach program for NFL players who need therapy.
That's really nice. That's good.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack with the Cowboys and with Dak Prescott. I like Dak Prescott as a person and a quarterback, but man, the Cowboys themselves are just a big circus under Jerry Jones, and it's really sad to see. Again, Ellis, it could always be worse. You could be a Cowboys fan.
I could be a Cowboys fan, man.
Don't be a Cowboys fan.
Because then you'd be obnoxious.
Hey, not all Cowboys fans are obnoxious.
No, we had one. Shout out to Seti. He was a cool dude. He was not an obnoxious Cowboys fan. There's one every couple hundred.
Oh man, let's move on to Cincinnati, where the Las Vegas Raiders came to Cincinnati, and it was Joe Burrow slinging dick the whole game. Bengals won 41-24, but Joe Burrow 5 touchdowns for the day. Bengals, I think they find themselves at 4-4 at the moment.
Yeah.
So they are trying to stay alive and keep their season afloat.
Very much expected them to win. Didn't necessarily expect them to win like this, but it would be more of a concern if they didn't win. Had to keep an eye on the Bengals moving out because they do start playing better as the season gets colder and the season moves on. They capitalize on stars not being able to play in the cold.
Mm-hmm.
But as for this particular win, I'm not necessarily too impressed because of who they played.
I understand, and I know you have a soft spot for the Raiders, CP. But yeah,
no,
the Raiders are just not it.
The Raiders are over there now, right now. We're just gonna keep them over there right now.
They're on the shelf.
Right, we're gonna keep them on the shelf for over there for now.
Yeah, the Raiders were pretty.
It hurts to watch them be as bad as they are.
They traded their quarterback from last year.
Derek Carr. He went to the Saints and now he's out with an injury, and they also traded Devontae Adams, the wide receiver that is now on the Jets. And I believe they replaced one or two other players as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Raiders are in shambles.
Mm-hmm.
It says Joe tied a career high with 5 touchdown passes.
Yep, Joe Burrow.
Yes.
What a guy!
Yeah, he's
what a guy.
Yeah, he's another one of the quarterbacks in the league that he can be considered an elite quarterback amongst like the current crop of quarterbacks in the NFL. It's like Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow are like the cream of the crop.
Those are the bigger names,
yeah.
But the up and coming names, you got C.J. Stroud, Jordan Love,
Jaden Daniels,
Justin Herbert,
Mhm.
Josh Allen.
Yeah, so good for Burrow. They keep their season alive, and they play my Ravens on this Thursday, so they have a tough battle ahead of them. Speaking of the of the Ravens, we played the Denver Broncos this past week and just put an ass whooping on them, 41-10. I was very happy about that. And again, but we move on to Cincinnati coming into town on a short week, and we have a phrase here on the show, Ellis, that we just say, "Fuck the Bengals."
Fuck the Bengals.
I can't say that, man. My high school mascot was a Bengal. I'm
Fuck
a
the
Bengal at heart.
Bengals.
We know what we said, Ellis. We said, "Fuck the
I didn't
Bengals."
stutter.
No, yeah, fuck the Bengals for sure.
Goddamn
Amen.
That Joe guy, he's terrible. He's a terrible man.
He's Homelander.
I will be a Joe Burrow fan when he gets off of Cincinnati.
Yes, as will I. Man, let's move to Arizona, where your Chicago Bears came into town to play the Cardinals, and it was just a complete ass whooping by the Cardinals to the Bears, 29-9. And again, we'll unpack them a little bit more, but good on the Cardinals to get a good win and really keep afloat in the NFC West. They can compete for their division out there.
Listen, I've been saying it. We'll get into it with the Bears. Caleb Williams with another unimpressive showing. But again, the Cardinals, they're scrappy, and we've been saying it like that for about a year or two now, that they are right on the brink of becoming that team that no one wants to play at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're right there again. They're knocking on that door of being that team who plays spoiler.
Let me tell you something. Okay, so let's just think about this. Chicago goes to Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
I consider Arizona as a second home for Chicagoans, but let's just. I think Chicago could go ahead and blame the embarrassing loss, the 20-point loss, on the Heat of Arizona. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do that.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna walk down that road.
We're gonna walk down that road. It was a pretty hot day, low humidity. Chicago, they're used to the high humidities, and that's why Caleb Williams wasn't able to get a good grip on that pigskin.
Wasn't it a 4:00 game?
It was.
Hey,
In a dome too. In a dome.
In an air-conditioned dome.
Arizona Cardinals, they've had some conspiracies thrown at them, man, about messing with the temperatures inside that dome.
Yo, what?
I think you're onto something, Ellis.
Hear me out. Why do you think they started playing football in domes so the home team could have an advantage?
There's someone
Let's
touching
think
the
about it,
thermostat.
fellas. Yes, someone touched the thermostat.
I think you're onto something here.
What?
Maybe that explains why the Lions are doing so well, man. They play.
Yeah, what's up with that? Aren't they not usually one of the worst teams in the NFL?
Oh yes. And now it is. They are on the rise, and we've been on that for the last couple of years. But we'll get to them in just a sec. First, I want to go to Philadelphia, where the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Philadelphia Eagles played, and I believe we all saw this highlight of Saquon Barkley hurtling backwards over a Jacksonville defender.
One of the most insane athletic feats I've ever seen in my life.
Absolutely crazy. Philly won 28-23. It was a good, hard fought loss by the Jags, but ultimately Philly won. But man, that Saquon highlight, man, that is going to be that might be the cover of Madden next year.
Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if Saquon Barkley winds up being on the cover of Madden. I don't know that specific action will be it, but that'll probably go down as one of the greatest hurdles of all time.
I don't know how you're supposed to time that. He's got
How do you see that?
His back of his helmet. He's like, I got to do this jump, and pull my legs up. That's crazy.
It's
I
like,
know,
how
I
do
can
you
never-
sense that someone's running at you from behind?
Mm-hmm.
And he came off a spin move too, so he
Right.
spun around and then felt the guy somehow, and then just like,
And
it's
just
time to jump.
Jumped backwards.
There's a quick little mistake emote he did midair.
Insanity. Absolute insanity.
Oh man, Eagles move on. They take second place in their division. Let's move to the NFC West in Seattle, where the Los Angeles Rams and the Seattle Seahawks had a thrilling game in overtime. Rams won 26-20 in overtime. Rams keeping their season alive at 4-4. I know, CP, we talked about them a couple weeks ago. They were really needed a must-win game against the Raiders because at that point in time they were 1-4, but they're on a 3-game win streak right now. So good on them.
Well, yeah, the healthier they get, the more momentum they pick up, man. You know, the addition of Puka Nacua a couple weeks ago, pretty sure Cooper Kupp is on his way back in. So, you know, the defense still has a lot to be desired because they still let up a lot of points. But, you know, the offense is starting to produce again, and it's going to be interesting going down the stretch.
Absolutely. Ellis, you have any thoughts on Rams Seahawks?
I haven't watched a Rams game since they left St. Louis, man.
Oh wow.
That is valid.
That's okay. I'll just tell you that they won a Super Bowl
They
since
have
then.
gotten better since they got rid of Jeff Fisher. I want you to know that as a fact.
I'll believe it when I see it. Their stats are pretty aligned with the Bears. We should do a Bears Rams kind of thing. They should play in the Super Bowl.
Well,
Oh my
they
God.
See what goes on there.
Well, they can't play in the Super Bowl because they're both NFC, but they did play each other a couple weeks ago, and the Bears beat the Rams a couple weeks ago.
Because they were playing at home.
Yes. Well, in
'Cause they-
Chicago, yes.
Exactly, because
And the Rams were
Bears-
totally depleted.
No, the Bears won that game because the temperatures, the humidity, pigskin, all that ratio, boom.
Ratio.
Yeah, the temperature to pigskin ratio got me fucked up.
Ellis, that's the word we're going to put in for tomorrow is ratio.
Ratios.
We do ratio.
I like it. Oh man, let's move to Green Bay. Sticking to the NFC North, where the Detroit Lions beat the Green Bay Packers 24-14, but the score, it was not even close. It was pretty much like 24-3 the whole game. It was just all Lions all day. Ellis, let me ask you real quick. Now, the Lions, they have been, again, a team that has been perpetually bad for most of existence and time. But obviously, they've been on the rise this last couple years. Do you have what are your thoughts on a division rival becoming this juggernaut of a contender in the NFC?
When I think about it, let me tell you something. We're gonna take a step back from football. We're gonna talk about cities. Let's just think about it. Detroit, terrible city. Would never want to go visit there. You know, let's think about it. How many people do you hear say, "I want to go visit Detroit"?
A friend of ours lives in Detroit.
Yeah. I
have
was there
never
last year,
once-
mate.
I have never once heard anyone say, "I want to go visit Detroit." I've always heard
My
people say,
supervisor's from Detroit.
I want to go visit Chicago. Alright? So even though the Lions have a better record than the Bears,
Mhm.
I would have to say if it came down to it, best team in the NFC plays the worst team, which is the Bears. Bears are going to be the underdogs. They're going to win.
That is a strong stance to take.
Well, the Lions and Bears, they do play each other twice before the season ends. So I'm very curious to see how that matchup is going to be, because in Paul and I, we've talked about this a lot. Anything can really happen in divisional games.
Right.
Anything. It doesn't matter about the record or anything like that. You play your rival twice a year, and you know what they're capable of. So it's really anything goes. And against the Packers and the Lions, that seemed to just swing in the Lions' favor. This was the first game for the Lions this season that they actually played in an outdoor stadium. Up until this this week they have been in nothing but domes. So, and it was raining, it was cold in Green Bay, and they bared the elements, pun intended.
I see what you did there.
Lions are prepped for fucking championship, dude. It's hard. It's hard to see a team in the NFC that can stop them right now.
I know.
Yeah, here's my question: do they have a new ownership, new
They
coaches?
got a new coach
Or-
a couple years ago, Dan Campbell.
Okay.
And he's an ex-player, and for some reason, the guys that were on the team gravitated towards his message and what he wanted to prove with this team, and it's just been off to the races since. Everybody on that team, except for a couple of young players, are kind of given a second chance. Jared Goff is a second chance quarterback, and he's totally revived his career in Detroit. Remember, they did a player swap, Jared Goff for Matt Stafford, quarterback for quarterback. Matt Stafford went to LA and Jared Goff went to Detroit.
So sad.
And they've been off to the races, drafting well. You know, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jack Campbell, Aiden Hutchinson. They've been drafting well year after year after year, to where now they are fit and primed and ready for a championship.
Lions in the
No,
Super
thank
Bowl?
you.
Question mark.
They're my bold prediction for the Super Bowl this year. So,
Oh,
I mean, it's
man.
smart. It's smart.
So
But no.
let's stick to the NFC North. With the Minnesota Vikings hosting the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday night primetime football. This was the Vikings and Sam Darnold. They had a slow start, but eventually they got the offense going. Minnesota won 21-13. Now, Ellis, if you look at the standings in the NFC North, the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings are all ahead of the Bears. And it's very unfortunate that right now your team is kind of like in a very highly competitive division.
arguably one of the most competitive divisions in the league right now.
That's the only way. It's the only way you're gonna get better as a team. You can't get better as a team playing these whack ass, amateurs. You got to be with the big bad boys. The Lions are not big bad boys. They're just given. I think they're paying the refs. There's a big conspiracy about that.
They're what?
They're paying the refs.
Oh my god!
No. That's the Chiefs.
No, that is the Chiefs, my friend.
That is the Chiefs. Which I mean,
I didn't
honestly,
want to talk about that.
Well, which kind of segues into our final game, which was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs won 30-24 in overtime against the Buccaneers. But yeah, if you want to talk about paying the refs, there's a big conspiracy with the Chiefs and just loving Mahomes and the Chiefs, man, because they do not get a lot of calls on them in very crucial moments, and a lot of other teams do, which is very unfortunate. But right now, the Chiefs sit at 8-0 as the best team in the league, and Ellis, let me ask you this question. The Chiefs have an opportunity to be the first team to ever three-peat, win back-to-back-to-back Super Bowls. Do you think the Chiefs three-peat this year?
I think it depends on if Taylor Swift endorses the Chiefs.
Endorses the Chiefs?
No, I think they have a good chance. Do I kind of wish someone else would, maybe the Eagles take it? Yeah. Or the Bears somehow. Yeah, I think they have a good chance. It's going to be like how the Golden State Warriors are and like how the Lakers are.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the same thing until something in the team changes. Like Patrick Mahomes says, all right, I'm a free agent or whatever. I'm going to go play for the Bears or something.
Oh, and every Chicago Bears fan's wet dream.
Exactly, right? Let's have that happen. Let's do that scrimmage.
Oh man, CP, any thoughts on the Chiefs-Bucks game?
Just another crazy late missed call on an offsides on the Chiefs offense that was offsides by a mile and was not called at the end. I'm not calling conspiracy. I'm just calling terrible officiating as it is, and that's just what it is. It's point blank terrible officiating all year round. but it seems to hyper-focus late in games during the Chief games where they just let blatant penalties slide, whether it be an offsides by a mile, someone's being held by the throat, someone's being put down on a pass interference not being called. You know, it's just there's always something that makes a Chiefs win controversial this year.
Mm-hmm.
They've had 8 controversial wins this year.
Yep. And at a certain point, the luck's got to stop, right? So
I looked at their ongoing schedule, right?
Mhm.
The worst of their schedule is already gone.
Who do they play upcoming? I know they play the Bills in 2 weeks.
Here. In 2 weeks, they play the Bills. So this upcoming week, they play Denver. Then they play the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Then they play Carolina.
Oh, God.
Then they play the Raiders.
I see nothing but wins. Oh, God.
Then,
do they get
then
a
they play the
perfect season?
Chargers.
Okay, maybe.
Then they play Cleveland.
Oh, man.
They're going to lose.
Then they play Houston.
Okay.
Then they play us on Christmas Day.
On
And I was
Christmas Day.
actually wrong. We are not in Arrowhead. They come to Pittsburgh Christmas Day.
Ooh, that's even better.
And then they finish with Denver again. So when you look at that remaining schedule, there's 3 teams that have an honest chance at putting the blemish on their fucking schedule. 3, honestly. And unbiased, it's Buffalo, it's Houston, and it's Pittsburgh.
Yep. Yeah. Do
So
they do an undefeated three-peat? Oh, my God, man.
Dude, that would be ridiculous. So at best, they go, what, 15-3?
14-3, yeah.
15-3?
Jesus. Oh, my God. No, at best, they get perfect. At worst, they go for 14-3.
At worst, they go 14-3.
Oh, my God. That's very tough.
In the AFC first round bye, everyone goes into Arrowhead.
And if you want to be the best, you gotta beat the best
At home.
That's true. So that is it for our Week 9 recap. If you were taking shots at every time we said Bears, you'd probably die of alcohol poisoning because we were talking about the Bears, even in the recap a lot. But let's move to the game because there's a lot to unpack here with Chicago and the Chicago Bears. So, Ellis, my friend, I was going to just pass the torch on to you, but I have a question for you, my friend.
What's going on?
So, being from Chicago, what is the energy of football season like in the city? Like, what is it like in Chicago at like September, October, or something like that? What does it feel like?
I would say no matter how good or how bad the season is, it's pretty much just like how you guys felt about the Mets in the playoffs. It's electric. Even though
Mm-hmm. That's okay. I mean, I got the pop up as well, but he'll probably come
He'll
back.
be back.
He'll be back. Don't worry. We're technical difficulties. It's okay. But CP, what are your thoughts on this game?
There's a lot here, and I don't want to dive too far into it before he comes back, but there he is. Okay.
There we go. Welcome back, my friend.
we're back.
There you are.
We're back.
Did I mess it up?
No.
It's okay. I can edit that too.
Okay. I don't know what's going on. It's like all staticky and whatnot. But yeah, I was gonna say like the energy of the Bears is always pretty high. We know we're a bad team, but we push forward.
No, I
That's
think we
what
might
counts.
lose him again.
We represent the city.
We might.
Did you guys get any of that?
Not a word.
Actually, yeah, I was gonna say no. I'm having some technical difficulties.
This is. I don't know if is it coming in choppy for you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, it's pretty brutal.
That's okay. I mean, we hear you now, so
Okay,
so yeah,
I'm just gonna try to stay as still as possible. And
Don't worry
speak.
about the video too much, but it's more of like a auditorial conversation. So you said electrifying like the Mets in the playoffs, correct?
Correct. Yes. Even though we are known to be bad news bears, we still bring the energy to the field. Even if we're 1-9 for the season, we love the team.
And you see, that's now helping that you and I have spoke to almost not to just about nauseum when it comes to certain teams in the league. When they do good, the league does good because the fan base is what brings the energy of football to the league. The Bears are one of them. When the Bears do well, the league does well because they're one of those tough blue-collar teams with a history. You know, they're one of the most historic teams in the league. You know, they run in the same vein as Detroit, where when they do well, the league does well.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the Bears is that it's being ran like a circus. Now, I was a huge advocate for the Bears keeping Justin Fields last year. The people were chanting his name in the crowds. He was playing well. He was forming a bond with the team. You could see it. The defense was on the rise. And then they get rid of him. People can say it was the right decision, but I don't necessarily agree with it because he went through multiple head coaches in the first 2 years, and then they traded him. That's kind of the running theme with Chicago over the past couple of years. Subsequently, they seem to wind up in Pittsburgh as backups. With the offensive line additions that they made, Caleb Williams simply should not be struggling as much as he is. I don't feel. That's on coaching. That's not on Caleb Williams. That's on coaching. That's on coaching, and something's going on in practice where things are not clicking, or they're clicking during practice because they're doing it half speed. They're not doing it full speed. There's something going on with the Bears' preparation that is leading their offense specifically, to be non-existent for 2.5 to 3 quarters. The best game that offense had, there was two games this year where they had a very solid outing. It was against the Jaguars and it was against the Colts after Anthony Richardson went down with a rib injury. Other than that offense has been more or less muted, except for DeAndre Swift. He is officially the pulse of that team. It seems like that offense is starting to gravitate towards him. DJ Moore is officially quit. You can see it in the way he runs. He walks off the field. He walked off the field multiple times.
Mid-play.
He's taking plays off. He has no desire to have Caleb Williams throw to him anymore. And again, that's on coaching. The coach doesn't have the locker room. And so everyone's playing for themselves, and they're playing scared, and they're playing like they're going to get hurt because they're running at half speed. On the bright side of that, though, they're playing another team that's pretty much in shambles right now, the Patriots. Jacoby Brissett is having a pretty terrible year when it comes to being quarterback. And like I was saying, the Bears' defense is ready to play. They're a very tough defense. And you guys definitely have a chance to make Jacoby Brissett's day terrible. You guys know how to get home. You can definitely put him under a lot of pressure. And he doesn't have many people to throw to either. They have a bunch of nobodies. They have a bunch of young running backs. They have like 4 or 5 rookie linemen. So there is a chance for the Bears to show that they are taking the proper steps into success.
As well said, CP.
Yeah. It's we'll see. We'll see. I think the Bears have home field advantage, right?
Yes,
You get
this
the
was.
Bears at home.
Now, Ellis, let me ask you, why the Bears are sitting at 4-4 right now, but the rest of the NFC, you have the Packers at 6-3, the Vikings at 6-2, and the Lions at 7-1. Bears sit at 4-4 right now. Let me ask you, as a Bears fan, why do you think the team is struggling as it is?
I think Chris Palma said it perfectly. You can have all the perfect pieces to the puzzle, perfect gears and all that, all the best of the best. It all depends on who's moving the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And the coach, it's like letting kids just do whatever they want, especially with the Moore just walking off the field mid-play.
And your safety taunting the fans while the play is actively happening.
Hey.
Listen, if it's you got to give criticism what criticism is due, and it's due everywhere in Chicago at the moment.
Yeah, it's due everywhere. It's I think it has a lot to do with what's going on, like with who's in charge. And I don't think Jaden. I'm sorry, not Jaden. His name's not Jaden. His name's Williams. It's my second cousin. I should know that. Yeah. He doesn't have a voice. He needs to be the leader of the team. If the coach isn't going to be the leader, he needs to be the leader, and he's not.
Mm-hmm.
So he needs to put his foot down. But once again, he's learning. He's trying to find his path to leadership, which is kind of too late going into pretty much mid-season. But hopefully sometime soon. It is good though that they are playing at home. They're undefeated at home, so let's keep it like that. Especially because the weather is looking pretty well, 63 degrees.
Doing that weather, boy.
On that day. Hey, Pigskin's gonna be freaking immaculate that day for Caleb. But we'll see. I think it all breaks down to the coach, though.
I agree with you, and I like the way that you put that, on the path to leadership, right? Because leadership is something that you have to walk down that road to do so. But you have to choose to walk down that road. And obviously, in this league, we see the players that choose to be leaders, right? They're the ones that we see very common in the NFL, like your Patrick Mahomes, your Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, all these other, and other players, not just quarterbacks as well, but there are other leaders in the NFL. But it's if you choose to walk down that path of leadership. I think for the Bears, one of the biggest mistakes that they made this offseason was that they gave themselves very high expectations this year. And I think that with how much publicity Caleb Williams was getting in this offseason, especially like pre-draft, post-draft, and everything in between, there was a lot of expectations for the Bears to be a very successful organization this year. But the truth of the matter is that it takes time to be a successful team in this league. It takes step by steps, and I think that a lot of pundits and analysts had the Bears in like a Super Bowl bubble, where it's like if this quarterback is great from college, let's plug and play him into this team, and he'll be great there. The Jets tried that with that philosophy with Aaron Rodgers, and look where they are. They're one of the laughing stocks of the league. And plug and play is typically, it's a nice idea, and we've seen it work in the past, but it's very hard with rookie quarterbacks because they need to develop. They need to grow. They need to learn how to play within this league, and even learning how to lose too. I think that for the Bears and Caleb Williams, he had a lot of success at USC, right? And he had great stats, but that didn't necessarily translate to wins because he didn't win. He didn't win the national championship. He didn't win. Oh, there's a moth in my fucking. Goddamn. Son of a bitch.
Attacked by a moth.
Yeah, I'm getting attacked over here. What the fuck? But you'll probably see him float by at some point.
I just saw him fly past the light.
Yeah. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, there he is. Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. Just don't break anything.
Shit. Technical difficulties. I'm keeping this in the edit. But
That's awesome.
But I will say this though. Again, with the Bears, for teams that are developing and that are growing and that are very young, you need, as fans and as like consumers of the game, we have to be patient with the process and trust the process. I don't think now when we talk about leadership, right? Again, I we've all agreed that the coaching is not leading them to victories, right? They're Matt Eberflus, the head coach of the Chicago Bears. I've been, talking about him for a while. Palmer's been talking about him, and we don't believe that he's the right head coach for that job. And it's a shame too, because if the Bears set very high expectations for themselves earlier in the year and they don't meet those expectations, who do you blame? And the first person would be the coach. You fire the coach, right? Then you replace him, right? But then how does that help the development of your young guys, where they have to learn a new system, be with new personnel, and a new philosophy and ideology on how to play the game? It's tough. And unfortunately, that has happened for the last couple Bears quarterbacks that have been in the league. Mitchell Trubisky, Justin Fields have undergone a lot of coaching changes very early on in their year. And it seems that Caleb, if the struggles of the Bears continues, he will be destined to join that group of inconsistent coaching, which is going to stunt his development as a quarterback. So I think that for teams like this, and Paul and I, we've talked about this before, where it's like, don't necessarily look for wins this season. You'll be disappointed. Look for growth. And look for growth amongst players, where like players make smarter decisions than they did a week prior. And I think that that's something to really hang your hat on, especially for the Bears. But when it comes to this game against the New England Patriots, the Patriots are really struggling. Jacoby Brissett, like you were saying before, CP, he's obviously he's a serviceable backup, man, but he's a backup. And Drake May, he's already getting concussed. And Gerard Mayo, I like Gerard Mayo, but he's not really doing much in New England. But for the Bears, it's like you have a team that's very vulnerable right now coming into your home stadium. I think that this should be a game for the Bears where it's like, okay, let's see what you can do. Let's see what you can do against bad competition. And I don't want to say bad competition, but like obviously New England is one of the weaker teams. So for this game against Chicago, I really want to see what they are truly capable of on both sides of the ball.
Well said, John. Well freaking said. You made me passionate about the Bears.
Good, man. You should get a Bears jersey.
Never.
And I suggest a Brian Urlacher jersey. Those will never go out of style.
Right, they'll never go out of style. But now, piggybacking off of the leadership thing, right? When it comes to the Bears, who do you look to when you need a leader, right? It's not coming from the coach. Normally, the second in command, you look to the quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, what happens when the quarterback that is playing for your team openly says he doesn't want to be on your team?
You kind of lose all faith, man.
What happens when the quarterback on your team says he wants to own your team while playing for your team? What type of message does that send to your team?
Like, where you at?
Like, where's your head at, right?
Yeah. It's not on his shoulders that much.
Okay, so that's someone who does not have a proper head on their shoulders and is not ready to lead a team, right?
No, it's childish. How old is this guy, anyways?
It's like 20.
I would say this guy is 22, 23.
22,
oh, yeah,
23.
he's still wearing diapers, man.
He had 3 years in college.
So,
22.
Ellis, do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm pretty sure you're talking about Caleb Williams.
I am specifically talking about Caleb Williams pre-draft. Pre-draft. He denied doing a combine, so he didn't show up. He specifically said, I'm not putting my name in the draft unless the Bears renounce their first overall pick. Then once the Bears said they're not doing that, they're keeping their number 1 overall pick, he still put his name in the draft anyway.
Mhm.
Then he was threatening that he was going to demand to be traded. He was going to pull the John Elway trick. That didn't happen. Then going into rookie contracts, he wanted his nail designer to be on the sidelines. He wanted his mom to be on the paid staff. And he wanted to be partial owner of the league as a rookie.
This is why extensive research is good, because if I would have known that before today, I would have not claimed him to be a Williams. He's not one of me, I'll tell you that. That is crazy. That is nuts.
Right. And this is someone that a bunch of people who are really lost in the league right now because they don't have a coach. That's who they're left to turn to as a leader. Now, I think the team is more gravitating towards DeAndre Swift as their locker room guy and their leader. But with all that being said, Ellis, do you think that path to leadership is in Caleb Williams' future genuinely?
With this new information I just got, I'm going to say he needs a rude awakening. He needs to mature. And then maybe. But no, not right now.
Definitely. With the mindset he has right now? No, not in your eyes.
Way too immature. Unrealistic.
And I think that those are the right words to use.
Perfect words for that. Unrealistic, immature, ego, and it's like you've shown 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and you're under 2,000 yards. You've had 2 good games. One wasn't even in the States. Your best game wasn't even in the States.
I know.
You should go play football somewhere else.
The London Silly Nannies.
The London Silly Nannies. Shapoopy.
Exactly.
I think with Caleb, and obviously Caleb is a big, I guess, polarizing figure right now in Chicago, right? Where he has really brought a lot of criticism and a lot of attention to himself. And I think that right now he has not had the sustained play that justifies such an ego, if that makes sense, right? Like if he was playing good, right, and he was talking all this shit, right, then obviously it's like, okay, he's putting up the numbers, right? But he's not. But I will say this though, I don't think the struggles of the Bears are entirely on him. I think it's there's a lot to go around because looking at the stats, right? And Palmer, you brought it before. He's under 200 yards. He's 1,600 yards, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 61 completion percentage. Typically, quarterbacks is like you want that to be high 60s, like
65, 68.
Like 65, 68 is kind of a good sweet spot, but 61 that's very low. Anything below that, it's like, oh my god, you couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, right? But but I think. But he's been sacked 29 times. He was sacked 7 times against the Cardinals last week. And obviously that's not necessarily his fault. But I think that when you look at the Bears and how the team is constructed, they are very, on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, very top-heavy team, where the skill gap between like their best skill position players is the chasm is very big. So on offense, their best players, I wouldn't say Caleb because he's still learning, he's still growing, right? I'd say their best players, DeAndre Swift, followed by Rome Odunze, who's a rookie who's having a really good year right now. And I would also probably say DJ Moore, even though he's taking time off though. And you could put in Keenan Allen as well because he's another wide receiver and stuff like that. And then the skill gap between player number 3 or 4 is very big to player 5. And when you look at defense, too, they have I wrote it down. They have T.J. Edwards, second-year linebacker, who's really coming into his own. Kevin Byard, former safety for the Tennessee Titans, and Terrell Edmonds, who was a former linebacker for the Buffalo Bills, who's very, very efficient. And those players
Love
are
him
great.
as a
And then,
linebacker.
yeah, and then their fourth best player, Tyreek Stevenson, who was that guy that was taunting the fans during that Hail Mary. So, they're a very top heavy team. They ask a lot. They ask their veterans to do a lot to make up for the flaws of their younger guys. And I think that when you have a team constructed like that, it's not primed. They're not a prime team to have success in this league when other teams are doing it better, and especially in your own division too, where the Lions, it took them years to get to where they are. It took them about
5-6 years.
Since we started this podcast, 4 years,
Right.
and right here where they are, because we've been talking about them since Dan Campbell came in. But
Yeah, we watched that shit spark. We
Yeah.
called that.
Oh yeah, and so a lot of it takes time to be a good team. But that's the thing, though, is if you're an organization that makes the right decisions, you can speed up that process, but you still have to go along the process. You have to learn how get through those growing pains, get through it, and I hope that in the coming off season, the Bears address a lot of these issues with their personnel. I don't think Matt Eberflus will be staying as Bears head coach, but maybe a new voice is welcomed in Chicago.
Hopefully, man. I don't know.
What would
Let's
you
get-
like to see change in the Bears? What do you think would bring? I don't want to say instant success because, again, this is a process. You know what I mean? The Bears have a long way to go before they are in the contending conversation. So this year, again, it's more look for growth than it is wins on the board. What is something that you, as a fan, are looking for on both sides of the ball when it comes to on-field success and progression growth? If that makes sense.
Okay, so on the field, I have to say, it's pretty tough. I think I would like to see probably more, because he has a lot of hatred towards Williams. I want to see him do something very embarrassing. Maybe slap Williams on the helmet or something. Because then Williams' head's so big right now. Talking about he should be owning part of the team. Lower his ego, right? Reality check, buddy. A couple million people just saw you, get embarrassed by your teammate because you're doing terrible for the Bears. That could fix something. And then also off the field, I want to see Hard Knocks.
You want to see a Hard Knocks on Chicago?
I want to see a Hard Knocks on Chicago.
That would
I
sell.
want to see I feel like that would. What was it? I think the Jets had a Hard Knocks before when that big boy was still the coach.
Rex
Can't
Ryan.
think of his name. Rex Ryan, yeah, awesome guy.
Let's go have a snack.
And then exactly, but after that that season of Hard Knocks, the Jets did pretty good, and then they started doing pretty bad. But it's even just getting a little bit more into off the field morale. I feel like needs to happen. Maybe some team bonding. Go for golf. Team golfing.
Team
Okay.
golfing.
I can
Yeah.
I can understand where you're coming from when it comes to you have to build a unity and a chemistry between both sides of the ball. Yes?
Yeah, both sides of the ball.
Okay. So
When you said both sides of the ball, did you mean offense and defense?
correct.
Yeah.
Offense, defense, and special teams if you really want to get technical on in every aspect. So
Oh, boy.
when it comes to their offense, I think the best ways of success you could really start to see some promise coming from the Bears is resistance to turnovers, your third down conversions, and not letting up so many sacks and poor penalties. You guys, there's a lot of teams in this league that get into penalty trouble real early, and the Bears are one of them. They get into penalty trouble, they get frustrated, and that's when teams really put the foot to the throat and they just let it rip. And that's how Caleb Williams winds up getting sacked 4 to 6 times a game. That's on the offensive side. On the defensive side, you could start looking at the way the defense pursues the ball carrier, make sure everyone's playing to the whistle at every given point. Not showboating to the fans when the play is in the middle of action. Keeping, and I mean that genuinely, like you keep your mind in the game because it is a 60-minute game and you have to play until all numbers say 0. You have to play all 4 quarters because just like that, the game can be over. And again, that's on coaching. So you need to, the ways that you could best look at success on defense is pursuit, tackling, and again, clean defense where it's little penalties. Defensive pass interference, defensive holding, roughing the passer, all the little things, fundamental progress is what you want to look for with the Chicago Bears and the Patriots alike.
I think the Bears might want to get a new coach.
Hopefully that comes at the end of the year.
Yeah, I was going to say, now let me ask you, let's stick to that real quick. If they do get a new head coach, what kind of head coach would you like him to specialize? Would you like it to be an offensive head coach or a defensive head coach?
I think the Bears' defense isn't doing too bad. So I would have to say offense.
You go for it.
Offensive coach that's strict. And it's like old school offensive coach.
So like a Bruce Arians type?
Yeah.
Old coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Like a Sean Payton-esque old school offense, like hard-nosed running type?
I think that would do the Bears some justice.
What about Mike Vrabel?
I like that. I like
Mike Vrabel. He was the old coach for the Titans. Won a couple division championships. Hard north-south running, very quick slant type passing. Lovie Smith.
Lovie Smith. Haven't heard that name in a while.
He was old coach for the Texans.
And on the Bears, too.
And the Bears.
Yep.
Where's he
Bring
at
back Lovie Smith.
I don't know, but he's got a nice beard now. But I will say one last thing about the Bears. And I was thinking about this last week, and I wrote it in my notes. The Bears are an organization where they are haunted by legacy, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is that they have always been known as a defensive team because of that 85 Bears team, right? That 85 Bears team was extremely special, right? And obviously won that Super Bowl that year. And then the following year, they statistically had a better defense that next year, and obviously didn't win it or even make it to the Super Bowl, but they have the one. And that's the 85 Bears ring, right? But since then, right, the league has evolved and has become more of an offensive league. And it seems that now is the time where like the Bears are like, oh shit, we need to be an offensive team because we've been known as a defensive team for so long, but have not had success in the modern age. And so we think of Bears, we think of defense, and this offseason, they've really splurged and really made a big splash in getting a quarterback, getting a lot of wide receivers for the quarterback, running back, right? They really dipped heavy into free agency too. It's like if you forget it's your girl's birthday, right? But so what do? You get flowers and chocolates all at once, right? But that doesn't make up that you're late.
Doesn't fix the problem, right?
Doesn't fix the problem. You're still late. So I think that with the Bears, it's like they're late to this modern age of football because they've been so haunted by that legacy that they set for themselves all those decades ago, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and we see that all the time. We see that right now with Dallas too. You know, they're kind of locked in to that mindset of we're trapped in our own legacy. We have a formula and we're gonna keep running it and we're gonna run it into the dirt. The Steelers are even guilty of that. You know, we are a defensive franchise. We just are fortunate enough to have one of the best head coaches of all time on our sidelines. You know, any other coach, it would not be the success that we have. And I'll stand on that. You know, we would, with the play scheme that we've had for the last 16 years, it's been defense first. And like you said, the league is evolving into an offensive heavy league. You know, they're making it harder to play defense with the roles in the league. They're making it more difficult to do successful tackles. And it's becoming more of a receiver league because it's more, in my opinion, they're doing it for TV ratings because it's more fun to watch a touchdown than it is to watch an interception in the eyes of the masses. Personally, I disagree. I think a great defensive play is always more exciting than to watch a touchdown.
I'm the same way too.
But, you know, the mindset of defense wins championships is no longer in the NFL. You know, right now, you need to have a strong run game to win a championship. Strong run game, minimal penalties, and a tough quarterback. That's what you need. And a good coach. So that's what you need to win this game. And the defense just needs to be solid enough to hold off a 30-point team. You don't have to have the best defense in the league right now. You need to have a fluid team. You need to have a complete team in today's game.
Well said, CP. Well said. I was going to say, gentlemen, do we have any final thoughts on this game? Ellis, I'll pass the torch to you, my friend.
Do you want the Bears?
Yep.
Bears.
Final thoughts.
Yeah, my final thoughts, man. The Bears they're gonna remain undefeated at home. I feel like they have pretty good odds. I was just looking at it. The matchup predictor was pretty solid looking. Don't want to get my hopes up though. But like I said before, the air temperature is supposed to be 63 degrees. A little bit. We're at an open dome here. I'm actually looking at tickets right now.
Dude. So much about weather.
Right now with this weather.
It's the windy city of Chicago, bro. You're not even talking about the wind.
No, man. It's going to be a perfect day.
It's gonna be perfect day in the windy city of Chicago with no wind.
No wind in the windy city. It's going to be a good game. Hopefully, I'm really hoping that the Bears kind of pull their shit together and can at least just remain undefeated at home. I'll be okay with that. I'll be okay with all their wins being at home and all their freaking losses being on the road. They get homesick. That's okay.
Okay.
Little baby needs a little medicine. Yeah.
Okay, well then that would be a step in the direction of where to go. It's if you can win at home, you got to learn how to play on the road, and then it goes from there. So that is a good mindset to have. If you can stay consistent at home, that can branch out to the road.
Look at the Lions. Yeah. Dan Campbell didn't win a road game until his second year.
Right. Maybe that's what it takes. So I can agree with that to a certain extent. But again, looking at it as game by game, you have to look for fundamental progress before you can even say we're going to remain undefeated, because that's a tall order to ask anybody at any given time, especially if people know that that's what you're striving for, is to try and stay undefeated at home. That's a target for a lot of people. People want to be that blemish. They want to be that. They see it just as well as you do. Oh, they haven't lost at home yet. Let's go get that. We got to get that. So look for fundamental victories on the field, and it will translate to the record you want to see down the road.
That is true.
Hey, it all takes time in this league, and it's not easy to get wins in this league, right? Just ask the Giants and the Panthers, because both teams right now are 2-7, and this is the second game that we wanted to talk about, which was the Giants and the Panthers. So between these two teams, they have a combined record of 4-14 Winning is not easy in the NFL. Believe me, Giants and Panthers fans would tell you they would really sell their soul for a win right now. And it seems that America seems to still be punishing Germany since World War II by giving them this Giants and Panthers game.
You know exactly what you did.
I know what I did.
Germany knows exactly what they did.
They know what they did. but it's not easy to get wins right now. But Ellis, let me ask you real quick, right here, right now, who do you think is the worst team between these two teams, the Giants or the Panthers?
Dude, I'm going to say the Panthers.
Okay.
I'm going to say the Panthers, one, because I'm a resident of New York now, and, I got to support where I live. And then
No, you don't, but that's fair.
they have, Dalton has 6 interceptions.
Mm-hmm. But Dalton is not even going to be playing. I think
No,
they're sticking to Bryce Young.
Bryce Young is.
What happened to Dalton? What's
They sat
what's
him.
up with Redhead?
So
he's that bad. Okay.
So what happened? What happened was last year, the Panthers, or the last couple of years actually, the Panthers were trying to, I guess, rebuild. So they gave away their really good players. They gave DJ Moore, a wide receiver, to the Bears for draft capital. They gave Christian McCaffrey, their running back, to the 49ers.
For draft capital.
Jeremy Chin to Washington, to Brian Burns to New York. Brian Burns actually revenge game this game. And they basically got rid of all their really good players for draft capital. But it seems that the picks that they made in the draft to get all these young players did not pan out as it did. They drafted a quarterback last year, first overall pick, just like Caleb Williams was the first overall pick this year. The first overall pick last year was Bryce Young. And he played throughout the whole season, and they went 2-15. They were absolute ass and booty. And the reason why the Bears had the number 1 pick was because the Bears and Panthers traded for draft capital. So the Bears got their number 1 overall pick last year because of the Panthers. And so they got Caleb Williams because the Panthers were just so bad with Bryce Young. And earlier this year, bless you. You're only allowed 2. That's it. You're only allowed 2. Come on. Get your head in the game. And so they played him for the first 2 weeks this year, sat him in week 3 because he was just playing very bad. Dalton won a game for them, but since then he has not played to the standard that they expected him to play. So when Andy Dalton started to suck, then they're like, okay, Bryce, you might as well get back in there. So Bryce Young will more than likely be starting this game in Germany.
Well, I see that the Panthers aren't last in their division, but
the Saints.
That is the Saints.
The Saints
right?
are.
Yeah.
But the Giants
we talked about that game last week. And they actually played last week, and Panthers won 23-22. So Saints fall to
just
last,
underneath, right?
Mm-hmm. No,
but
I still think the Panthers are gonna be the worst team. Giants are gonna win over in Germany for sure.
Ooh. Oh, okay.
100%.
Okay. I like it. We haven't made picks yet, but we'll save that. We'll save that.
Oh,
but
spoiler.
Spoiler. But CP, I know you wanted to talk this game. What are your thoughts on this game?
See, I thought long and hard about this game, and it's very interesting because Daniel Jones, statistically, he plays better when he's not in New York, when he's as far away from New York sports fans as he possibly can be. And that's just the truth. He just plays better when New York fans are nowhere around, and that is because New York sports fans are ruthless. To his not even to his defense, in his regard, it is warranted. He has not played well. 1,800 yards, 8 TDs, 5 interceptions. He's really he's playing subpar. But again, it's the same conversation similar to the Bears. It's coming from coaching. It's, Brian Daboll is not the guy that people thought he was. He came in under the precipice of being the quarterback whisperer because he woke up Josh Allen, and they thought that he was going to do the same thing to Daniel Jones. And that seemed to have fallen flat on his face, especially because you got rid of the one thing he needed the most, and that was a running back to take the pressure off of him. So wrong decision from the Giants. They paid Daniel Jones on a year that was strictly carried on Saquon Barkley's back. They paid Daniel Jones for it was like really one good outing throughout the entire year when the rest of the year was coattailed on Saquon's one of his best and healthiest years. They decided to sign Daniel Jones, and they threw a franchise tag in the face of Saquon Barkley, and they said, go test the field. And now he's in Philly creating new offensive line moves.
New highlights, man.
Right, he's making new highlights in Philly, and they're looking on the other side of the fence at the bottom of the division saying, what the hell did we do?
Mm-hmm.
Because now you have a quarterback who's being paid all of this money, and you can no longer afford to give him a running back or any type of receiver to have any form of connection with. They drafted a good one. What was his name? Malik Neighbors, right? That's the wide receiver they have.
Yep.
But again, he's a rookie. That's a lot of pressure to put on a rookie. It's the same type of pressure that Caleb Williams has as a quarterback, Malik Neighbors has as a wide receiver, especially in New York, because New York loves their wide receivers to be good out of the gate. And if you aren't good within your first 2 years, and I mean to a certain standard that is almost delirium, you get ran out of New York. And it's almost, it looks like Malik Neighbors is not far from being ran out of New York, just like Daniel Jones is not far from being ran out of New York. The Giants have given up on Daniel Jones. The Panthers are accepting the fact right now that they cannot succeed with Bryce Young and the players that they have.
Mm-hmm.
But they still want to see the capabilities of what this offense can do. It may be bad, but can you guys play together? Because that is the first foundation you need to do as a losing team. We've spoken about this many of times when it comes to these up-and-coming teams, when it was Houston, when it was the Chargers, when it was Detroit, when it was Green Bay. What were they doing? They were losing, but they were losing together. And then as the year goes on, those losses, those big losses, turn into small losses, turn into tight losses, turn into good losses. And then it's ugly wins. And then it's impressive wins. And now you look at 3 teams that we literally saw come into fruition: the Texans, the Packers, and the Lions. They did that formula where they started losing, but they lost together, to now they are 3 of the most dominant teams in the league. And I feel like the Panthers are seeing that as a blueprint, and hopefully moving forward, they make the right moves in the offseason to help that process along.
That was well said, CP. Again, it's all about progress, man. It's all about progress. When I looked at the stats for this game in particular, there's a couple things that jumped out at me. So Malik Neighbors, I like Malik Neighbors, and I think a lot of Giants fans do like Malik Neighbors. I think that a lot of the the blame of New York, and rightfully so, goes to Daniel Jones. He's just not really the guy. I mean, right now, he's kind of has the same stats almost as Caleb Williams from the Bears. He has a 63 completion percentage, 1,800 yards, 8 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and he's been sacked 27 times. Caleb's been sacked 29 times. So there's not that statistically that much of a difference between Daniel Jones and Caleb, except Daniel Jones has been playing a little bit better, which is not saying that much when a lot of the general consensus is that Daniel Jones is one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. But he's got a lot of good young talent around him too. Whereas Caleb, he's surrounded by veterans.
Right.
Daniel Jones is surrounded by young guys. Malik Neighbors, obviously, he's the wide receiver that they drafted. But I want to give a shout out to Tyrone Tracy. He's the running back that stepped up in the injury of Devin Singletary, and he's got 89 carries, 442 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's been a workhorse for the Giants. And when I look at the biggest difference here too, is defense. So the Panthers defense they have 10 sacks, 3 interceptions, and 4 forced fumbles. That's not really that good, especially in the sack department. It's like you need to get pressure on your quarterback, on the opposing quarterback. Otherwise, they're just going to torch you the whole time. I look at the Giants' defense. The Giants have 35 sacks.
They get
one interception, 7 forced fumbles. 35 sacks. And Dexter Lawrence, on the defensive line, he has 9 sacks so far this year. He is on pace to be Defensive Player of the Year on the New York Giants out of all teams.
Right.
And I look at this and I'm just like, wow, they both have the same record, right? But yet the Giants they have something to gravitate towards, and that's that defense. The Panthers really struggle right now. They've given up 17 sacks between Dalton and Bryce. So I guess their offensive line is a little bit better than the Giants, but not by much. But one thing is one stat that we look at is leading tackler. Who's your leading tackler? What position is he? And for the Panthers, their leading tackler is Xavier Woods, their safety, followed by their cornerback, Michael Jackson. That is his actual name, is Michael Jackson.
Now, Ellis, the reason why... Sorry, let me cut you off, Halpin.
Sure.
There's issues there when it comes to your secondary being your lead tacklers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? There's levels to the progression of a play going down the field, and it starts with your D-line, and then it goes to your linebackers, then cornerbacks and safeties, and so on. If it's taking your safety to get your most tackles, that means you have flaws in your linebackers, your tackles, and even your cornerbacks. That means you have people who, like I was saying about the Chicago defense, when you look for success, you got to look for pursuit and tackling. There's tackling issues on the defense of the Panthers, leading the safety to, because once the safety is there, after he's gone, it's open field.
Mm-hmm. He's like the secondary, he's the last result, yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct. It's the last resort safety net. So that means just a good percentage of the plays that go against the Panthers defense are landing in that safety net.
Mm.
You follow?
I follow, man. I'm following.
Sorry, Halvin.
No, you hit the nail right on the head. I look at these two teams, man, and this is not going to be a very pretty game. But I think that when it comes to the NFL, right, not every game is going to be a pretty game. But sometimes in these games where not a lot of players or not a lot of fans look forward to really watching these games, there's still a lot of good to come out of it. That growth, that development. And I think that when we watch this Giants-Panthers game at 9:30 in the morning on Sunday, because it's in Germany, we're going to see a lot of young players step up. And I think that is really good for the league, no matter what team you're on. If you're a young player and you're coming into your own and developing, that's great to see. No matter what team you're on, Patriots, Bears, Giants, Panthers, let's see these young guys step up.
Yeah, and the one guy that I really want to see step up on the Panthers side is their running back, Chuba Hubbard. 665 yards and 5 TDs. He's averaging 5 yards a carry right now.
Yeah.
So when we want to talk about silver linings, like I think the Panthers very well could have found a very good running back. If he can average 5 yards a carry against that with that offensive line, imagine him with some players. And not for nothing, the Giants are the number 9 ranked rush defense. They let up almost 200 yards of rushing per game.
Jesus Christ.
196 yards a game on average for rushing. So maybe Chuba Hubbard could have a day. We'll see what happens.
Ellis, can you promise me that you'll name your firstborn son Chuba?
Yeah, Chewbacca.
Chuba.
You gotta do the whole sound too. That's gonna be funny. I was looking at the injuries for Carolina. There's a lot of injured reserves going on here.
That's a really good. That's
Yeah,
a really
they
good
got
point to
hit
bring
with the
up
Andrew
too.
Bug heavy too.
And it's unfortunate too because again, no player ever deserves to be injured, and it just sucks that every year it seems that there's a team or multiple teams that just get hit with injuries constantly. Panthers are one of them, and obviously another big one is the 49ers.
This year, for sure.
This year they have been hit with the injury bug heavy.
The Saints got hit heavy this year. The Rams got hit heavy.
Rams. So
even the Colts with fucking Anthony Richardson getting hurt 3 times this year.
That's very true. Very, very true. But I'm very looking forward to this game, even though it's going to be an ugly game. Damn, Ellis, are we boring you? You're yawning, man. You're yawning, man. I mean, the Giants-Panthers boring you?
Nah, man, I'm just freaking enjoying. I'm tired.
I get that.
I have a patient to take care of, man. She's in sick bay right now.
I hope she feels better, by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, she's doing all right.
It's funny because I saw her like walk by every now and again behind your screen, like she went to the island and everything.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she did either macaroni and cheese or chicken bone broth.
Good for her.
Hopefully, chicken bone broth.
Oh man! So Ellis, I know what will wake you up. Let's make some
Let's
picks.
make some
Before
fucking picks.
But before we do that, any final thoughts on this game, gentlemen?
Fundamental success. Again, these are 4 teams that we spoke about that have a lot of development and growth to do. So these 2 games are going to be ugly to watch for a lot of people who like flashy touchdowns and electricity. These are not going to be those games. These are going to be ugly. They're going to be penalty ridden. It's going to be tough to watch for both of these games for a lot of it.
Yeah. Ellis, any final thoughts on this one?
If it's going to be like a bad game, like a lot of flags getting tossed or whatnot, I think the NFL needs to probably reconsider who they're sending overseas.
That is true.
Like it should have been like, I don't know, the Chiefs
Bills.
and Chiefs Bills or something, or
Well,
Chiefs
Ellis,
Ravens.
Think about this. They sent Green Bay and Philly to Brazil to play in an arena where the color green was banned.
Yeah, I remember John was saying that. It's the stupidest thing of all time.
They had to get a clearance for them to wear their green colors.
That is absolutely nuts. Yeah. It's kind of like we're trolling.
We're trolling overseas right now.
Yeah,
we send the Jacksonville Jaguars to London every year.
Every year, more than once this year.
It's bad. No, but if the game is an ugly game, NFL needs to reconsider sending these delinquents.
They need to open their scheduling up.
Delinquents. Oh man, I like it a lot, gentlemen. So, with that being said, those were the 2 games that we wanted to talk about this week. So, Ellis, CP, are you both ready to make some picks?
Yeah, let's do it, boy.
Okay, let's start in Baltimore, where the Cincinnati Bengals come to play the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday night. Gentlemen, you guys know me very well. I am taking the Ravens, of course. So, CP, who you got for this one?
I'm gonna go with you guys in the Ravens, but you got to remember that this is where all the division games count the most now, and you guys already put one on not on your side by losing to the Browns. So you have to come out strong early, and it's right around the time when the Bengals get hot. So be careful, because this is going to be a slugfest.
I agree with that. Ellis, who you got for this one?
Seems to be that guy, dude, but I'm going to go with Almighty Joe.
Oh, he's
God.
going with
Ellis.
Joe Shiesty.
Ellis, did you
Dude.
not learn the phrase on the podcast? It's called "fuck the Bengals."
Nah. This is gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be an interesting game. He's gonna reach in his bag. He's gonna unleash
He's
some
going to
things
reach in
you've
his
never
bag
seen.
and pull out his frosted tips.
No, yeah,
Ellis,
I'm gonna go with the Bengals, man. Going with the Bengals. I'm sorry.
you break my heart, Ellis. I please, I don't. you break my heart.
yeah,
Could have been against any other team, but against. Fine.
I'm going Bengals. I gotta go Bengals.
Fuck the Bengals. Okay, let's move to Sunday, where we'll start in Germany with the Giants and the Panthers. Ellis, who you got for this one? I know you said earlier, but who you got?
I'm going Giants. I'm gonna go with the Duke quarterback, man. Go Blue Devils. Let's
Go.
do it.
I respect it. CP, who you got?
Give me Carolina. I like Chuba Hubbard, and I like the idea of let's start finding some cohesiveness with our young guys coming from Carolina, because the Giants have all but given up on Daniel Jones completely.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see what a little bit of hope goes up against totally giving up.
Ah, man, it's tough, man, because this is kind of one of those coin flip games. I'm going to go with the Giants as well. Again, the big stat is that 10 sacks to 35 sacks, and
Right.
Dexter Lawrence having 9 of them. Dexter Lawrence, I think now in his mind, he's probably reaching for that Defensive Player of the Year, and he very well could earn it. So I'm going to go
I'm
with
sorry to interrupt, but he's got to go against TJ Watts.
he's got
Hey,
to
now.
he's got to try that sack record.
Yeah, he's got to
Alright.
shoot for that sack record.
Look at you, Ellis. We're dropping the knowledge over here. I like it.
We're gonna put that Google search real quick.
Let's not forget Max Crosby and Myles Garrett too, though.
That is true. They are right there too. But I'm gonna go with the Giants to win this game. Let's move to the 1:00 games, starting with the New England Patriots and the Chicago Bears. Ellis, who you got for this one?
I'm going Bears. Home court advantage, man.
Home court
No.
advantage.
Like I said, maybe not the last time. 63 degrees. Pigskin's gonna feel nice.
I like it. CP, who you got?
Do I put my hope into Chicago this week?
You should.
I don't think I can.
Oh.
Like, genuinely, I don't know if I can, because of just how unimpressive Caleb Williams has been this year. Give me the Bears. I'm gonna do it, but it looks ugly to me.
I do think it's gonna be an ugly game. That's for sure. But the Bears will.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bears as well, and I think that this needs to kind of be a get right game for the Bears.
Yeah,
If
it's gonna
they
be a lot
are,
of get right games.
yeah, exactly. So, but this should be a game where they beat lesser competition, and I'm not sure that New England's that far lesser of competition than the Bears, but I do expect them to win this game. So therefore, I'm going to take the Bears. Let's move to Tampa Bay, where the San Francisco 49ers play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a really interesting matchup. CP, who you got for this one?
This is like the battle of the injury bug. I think, give me San Francisco. I think they're slightly better coached. And again, the absence of Godwin and Evans is like a cut to the throat for this Tampa team. I don't necessarily see them getting out of that hole. I think that cut them at the Achilles this year.
Yeah. Ellis, who you got for this one?
Okay, I'm gonna do one more weather report. I'm gonna go 49ers as well, but they need to kind of get their head on right, because Florida is a very human spot. That pigskin's gonna be a little slippery.
Ellis, you have a very bright future as a weatherman.
Yeah, I think you should be a meteorologist, my dude.
I am gonna go Tampa. Um, I San Fran's not they're they're not as good as on the road as they have been in years past. And I think that now with the absence of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, Tampa is going to orient or pivot into a more run-centric team. I like their rookie, Bucky Irving. He's a very good running back for them. And I also do like Rashad White as well. He's a very strong running back as well. Um, I'm going to go Tampa, but I think this one's going to be very close to call. But hey, we'll have a really good game between the two of them. Let's move to Kansas City, where the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix come to play Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. CP, who you got for this one?
2 games in a row at Arrowhead for Kansas City. Rookie quarterback coming in to play Andy Reid with an undefeated offense with DeAndre Hopkins in the helm. Give me Kansas City, and it's not going to be pretty.
Ellis, who you got?
I'm gonna go with the people. Hate to say it, it's gonna be the Chiefs.
Yeah, I don't see the Chief train stopping anytime soon. So
Especially not in Denver.
Not in Kansas City with Denver coming to town. I don't see that happening. I am going to take the Chiefs as well to beat the Broncos. Let's move to Indianapolis, where the Buffalo Bills come to play the Indianapolis Colts. Ellis, who you got for this one?
Man, I'm gonna go Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills because it's a great character, one of my favorite movies. And 2, because it's a New York team.
God. Good for you.
Yeah.
Man just said Buffalo Bill's my favorite character in one of the movies.
CP's thinking like, who the fuck is this guy right now?
No, you need to be cherished. Be protected at all times.
CP, who you got for this one?
Give me Buffalo. That defense really doesn't stand a chance at the fluidity that is the offense of the Bills.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bills as well. I hope this is not a trap game for them, because with Kansas City in 2 weeks, it's very easy to kind of look ahead of the schedule and really kind of set your sights on that game, and then kind of lose in this week, when the Colts are right in front of you.
You got to bring this one home.
Yeah, so I think the Bills are going to win. Josh Allen's going to do his thing, but I just hope that they don't fall into this trap game for them. Let's move to Washington, where the Pittsburgh Steelers coming to play the Washington Commanders. CP, I'm guessing you're going Commanders, right?
Oh, come on. Yeah, no, I'm going to go with the Steelers, but again, you got to remember they picked up Mike Williams and Preston Smith at the trade deadline.
That is very true.
Very big pickups going in. But this is the beginning of that gauntlet. This is the start of one of the hardest second back ends of the season I've ever seen.
Yep. It starts with Washington.
It
so
starts in Washington. So let's get this train moving.
Okay. Ellis, who you got?
I want to go for Ben Roethlisberger's team, man. He was a good guy back in the day, I'll tell you that. But I'm going to go Washington.
You're going to go
Ouch.
Washington. Ooh.
I'm going Washington.
I see you.
Well, you know what, Chris? I hope they do what they did to me.
Hope that my defenseman decides to taunt the crowd during a live play and louse up a position play.
Exactly.
I don't see that coming from the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. I can tell you that.
Not under a Mike Tomlin-led team.
Not under Mike Tomlin. You would be fired before the play got off.
Oh my god. I'm gonna go with the Steelers on this one. Now Washington again, they also picked up Marshawn Lattimore from the Saints
Huge.
at the trade deadline. So Washington's really doubling down on wanting to win now and win with Jaden Daniels. But Jaden Daniels, he's a rookie, and he has not played against a Mike Tomlin Steeler defense yet. And
Mike Tomlin loves rookies.
Mike Tomlin loves rookies, and he really makes mincemeat out of them. I'm going to take the Steelers to beat Washington, but honestly, I think this is going to be a really good game to watch, and I'm
It'll be a
excited
great
for this
game.
one.
Hmm.
Let's move to Jacksonville, where the Minnesota Vikings come to play the Jacksonville Jaguars. Ellis, who you got, my friend?
That's a tough question, man. I'm gonna have to go Jacksonville. Going Jacksonville on this one.
You're going Jacksonville for the upset, huh?
Yeah.
Is
Little
it just because
insight.
it's the Vikings?
No, dude. A little insight on Jacksonville. I've been to Jacksonville. Jacksonville, honestly, one of the best states or one
Great
of the
weather.
best cities. Great weather, but going Jacksonville, they get a nice diversity.
Nice diversity.
Yeah, good diversity on the team, good diversity within the community there. I feel like they're going to come together and, they're going to come on top on this game.
Ooh, they very well could. CP, who you got for this one?
We're going to go with Minnesota here, and I'm going to quote a Jacksonville Jaguars fan back from the pandemic. We can't get Corona because we don't drink Corona. We drink Busch Light. That is the fan base of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Just let that one be known. We can't get Corona because we don't drink Corona here. We drink Busch Light.
God bless Jacksonville, man. God bless, the city of
Jacksonville.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings as well. We've talked about the plight of Jacksonville before. Their defense is really susceptible. And right now, Sam Darnold really had a tough win against the Colts, but he ultimately did it. And right now, the Vikings are still trying to keep pace with the Lions. So I'm going to go with Minnesota to beat the Jags.
Quick question. You're going to go for a team who's used to playing in cold weather, and they fly to a vacational spot in
I'm
Jacksonville,
going to go with a white-hot offense going up against a doormat in the league. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Well, it's funny. The Vikings actually, they used to play outside in the 70s before they relocated and got a new stadium. Since then, they have been a dome team and have not even made the Super Bowl since the 1970s. So Minnesota is a dome team, but maybe they should be an outdoor team.
Get out of that snow.
Just saying. Let's move to another dome team, the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints, coming to play a divisional round matchup. CP, who you got for this one?
Give me Atlanta. The absence of Christian Olave again with another concussion is just another detriment to this injury-ridden Saints team. And Atlanta, they're a playoff team this year, and it's pretty hard to deny that fact. They are playing for a playoff spot. I don't know if they have a playoff win in them, depending on who they play scheduling wise, but they're competitive enough to say that they're a playoff team at this point.
Yeah, I like it. Ellis, who you got for this one?
Dude, I kind of want to go for the underdog, man. I don't want to because
Careful.
You went with the Jags, so I mean,
I think it was
You went with
Jags.
the most underdog team.
Hey, Lawrence, he's a great guy. Look at his hair.
He's
Come on.
statistically Daniel Jones.
No, I'm gonna go Falcons on this.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Falcons as well. Again, I agree with you, CP. I think that they are a playoff team, especially sweeping the Bucks, which is probably your biggest contender within that division. So I'm going to go Atlanta as well. Saints, man, it's been pretty ugly for them this season.
It's rough.
It's been very rough. Let's move to L.A., where the Tennessee Titans come to play the Los Angeles Chargers. CP, who you got for this one?
Give me the Chargers. I have no reason to think that the Titans are really going to succeed much more this year.
Mm-hmm.
Will Levis ain't it?
I agree with you. Ellis, who you got?
Going Chargers. I've seen a couple of their games, a couple of their highlights. I like them a lot.
They're exciting.
Plus, I would have to say, every single time I pay attention to football, I always see the Titans with a terrible record. So
As of late, yeah.
Yeah.
So no for the Titans.
Since getting rid of Mike Vrabel. That's for fucking sure.
Well,
They got to
some
get the
things never
Teen
change.
Titans on that team.
Oh my god, the Teen Titans. That was my show back in the day, man. That was my fucking show. Fucking Teen Titans Go and Abomination. We're not gonna go open that box though. I'm gonna take the Chargers to beat the Titans. Oh man. Okay, let's move to Arizona. The Southwest Chicago, where the New York Jets take on the Arizona Cardinals. Ellis, who you got for this one?
Arizona's my second home, man. I'm going Arizona, going Cardinals all the way.
Great weather.
Yeah, great weather. Might get a little hot, but hey, 74
The
degrees
ratio.
is predicted. 74 degrees and about 35% humidity.
Dome.
It's going to be
Nice.
perfect 71 degrees in the air conditioning on turf. No wind because there's no fans.
CP, who you got for this one?
You have to give me Arizona. Aside from the perfect weather, I do think that defense is starting to mold. I think that offense is really starting to get a little pep in their step with James Conner and Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray getting into their own. The Jets are. I don't think that this is when the clock is right the second time.
Yeah. I'm going to take the Cardinals as well. But would I surprise you in saying that the Cardinals actually lead the NFC West right now in their division? So they are division leaders as of this moment, and they have a
They can start to
tiebreaker.
pull away.
They have a tiebreaker over the 49ers.
Mhm.
So that's very big. I'm going to go Arizona as well. New York will just kind of continue to struggle.
It
Speaking
is
of team... Oh, Ellis, go on.
Go ahead.
I was going to say it is predicted to be a really, really good game. I was looking at receiving yards. Wilson is a little bit above McBride.
Oh, Garrett
Did
Wilson?
you know that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, did you see that catch that Garrett Wilson had last week for a touchdown? He had.
Oh, you mean when they called a double tap with the same leg a touchdown when they pulled that back against the Steelers?
Mm-hmm.
We ain't gonna walk down that road though. We ain't gonna walk down that road.
Makes you wonder, though. Makes you wonder. Oh man. So speaking of teams that are struggling, the Dallas Cowboys. The Philadelphia Eagles come into town to play the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry World. CP, I heard that big sigh, my friend, but who you got for this one?
You have to give me Philly, but it's becoming easier to trust Philly as the year goes on. It's very hard to watch what's happening in Dallas right now. Just total unraveling of what they could have been. Because you and I, we spoke about that defense. That defense was menacing going into this year.
Mm-hmm.
And they have been just totally exposed and made to be pedestrians and chumps.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Ellis, who you got for this one?
I want to fly like an eagle. Eagles. Mm-hmm.
I like the pick. I'm gonna go with the Eagles as well. But CP, I got a question for you. Who does Dallas start? Cooper Rush or Trey Lance? I think
Personally,
they should start Trey Lance.
Personally, I would do Trey Lance. He's a better athlete.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like Cooper Rush understands the playbook more.
Yeah.
Whichever one you go, there's going to be there's going to be a big case of the uglies, and it's on the way.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, let's move to the Sunday night primetime game. Unfortunately, CP, we won't be able to watch this game because we have other plans.
Correct.
Shout out to our boy Gunny. Detroit Lions, Houston Texans in Houston. CP, who you got for this one?
Well, let's keep in mind that this is my bold Super Bowl prediction.
Yes.
From earlier this year.
Yes.
Ellis, earlier this year, we made bold Super Bowl predictions. It was like right before the season started, or like as the season was starting. This was my pick, Lions-Texans for the Super Bowl.
Two
I'm going to go
teams that
Lions.
Neither team has made it to the Super Bowl at all.
Yeah, I was
Double
gonna say,
down
I don't
fresh.
think I've ever seen the Lions in there.
Never once.
Hmm.
I'm going to go the Lions. They just picked up another key rushing star from fucking Cleveland. Pretty sure it was Darius.
Yep.
He has a Darius Smith.
Mm-hmm.
A huge piece to fill the hole of Aiden Hutchinson being out. So they're primed and ready. this is going to be a slugfest. The schedulers knew what they were doing, making this a primetime game.
Well, they actually flexed this game because it was initially going to be, I think it was the Colts and no,
Wasn't it the Jets that were supposed to be primetime?
yeah, I think so. But they did flex this game, so I'm glad they did because this game definitely deserves it. But Ellis, who you got for this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Texans.
Ooh,
All right.
Going
Both
Texans.
valid picks.
I like it. I'm going to go with the Lions as well. I just think that their offense is just rolling. I think the Texans, though, I think this will be a really good game. And I don't think the Lions are going to steamroll the Texans
No.
by any sense of the word. These are two great teams, and they both are great at what they do. They're great offensive-oriented teams with a strong defensive backbone to play complementary football. I just think the Lions just have that little bit, that edge, that little slight
little
edge.
bit more.
And that momentum. And momentum is real in the NFL. So I'm going to take the Lions to beat the Texans. Which brings us to our final game of the week. The Miami Dolphins playing against the Los Angeles Rams. Ellis, who you got for this one?
I'm gonna go Rams. Going Rams. Rams all the way. St. Louis Rams. Bring him back.
Bring him back.
Bring back. Give me the Dolphins for the upset here. I think this is like a rust-shaking game for Tua.
Mhm.
You know, barring his head exploding, I think they could go 10 rounds with LA and maybe sneak out a win.
Yeah, man, this is a tough one for me because Rams have the momentum. They're on a 3-game winning streak. But the Dolphins, this is Tua's 3rd game back from injury. But do they keep losing? It's hard, and it's really hard when they're like a 2-6 team at the moment. And last week we talked about them. They really needed that win against Buffalo, and they just couldn't get that win against Buffalo. I'll take Miami because I don't think that they're going to be perpetually losing the rest of the year. But if they are going to save their season, man,
This is it.
you have to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not confident in this pick, but I'll take Miami to upset the Rams.
Cool. The Browns, Packers, Raiders, Seahawks are on their bye week.
Yep.
So there you have it, guys. There's our picks for the week. The games that we spoke. Should be a good week. Ellis, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. I hope you had a good time. Whenever you want to come back, please feel free. We'll come on and talk to Bears anytime you want.
Definitely will. I want to educate myself a little bit more on the Bears, and maybe I'll give a call to Caleb Williams and tell him to get his head out
Your
of
second
that.
cousin, right?
Yeah.
But until then, guys, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to tune in next week because we are going to dive back into the Jets.
Oh, God.
And we have someone coming on to talk the Jets. Should be fun.